Do you want to know the best debt repayment strategy? Or do you want to know about the ones that's best for you? Well, you come to the right place. I'm Hervin Pesa, I'm a financial planner, and in this video, I'll talk to you about the debt snowball. If you're familiar with Dave Ramsey at all, he's made this strategy super famous to the nth degree. So I'll first talk about how it works, some key points, and I'll actually go through an Excel sheet that I've built just for this. So give me a like if you'll enjoy that. If you want a copy, let me know in the comments. We'll build on Mike's story from our case study in consolidation, and we also touched on that in yesterday's video using the debt avalanche. So if you haven't seen any of those yet, I'll share the links in the comments as well. See, we've had a tough almost 2 years, right? There's been a lot of shutdowns and lockdowns and issues, and of course, a lot of people are hurting financially. So this video may be a lifeline for somebody you know or you care about, or maybe you. So learn what you can from this and all the strategies. And if you can help somebody, DM this to them or help them execute something like this. All right. This is video 29 of 30 of our 2021 Money School. It's a mini series. It's a mini course really that we created for the month of September. It shows you all the money lessons that school failed to teach us. Now, there are actually 3 debt payment techniques that I've already gone over, including today. Yesterday, we covered the debt avalanche, and the day before that, we did the consolidation loans. See, we even went through a non-budget budget to help you find free cash flow so that you can actually pour more cash into debt payments. Tomorrow, I'll wrap this all up by comparing all the strategies against each other, and we'll revisit Mike again. Hopefully that helps you decide which one will work best for you based on key questions, situational examples, and by doing a bunch of what if scenarios for Mike. He's our case study. Now, my aim is to give you an understanding of each strategy, which hopefully gets you to your payoff date or your debt-free date sooner with the highest success rate possible. Now, please remember, I excluded real estate from all this. I excluded debts that have to do with business. I'm assuming that these are non-deductible, non-mortgage liabilities because those, I believe, should be treated slightly differently. Now, before I continue with the technicalities of this, in yesterday's video, I already talked about how to pay off debts successfully. But I just want to touch on that one more time, all right? I just want to tell you that if you're watching a video like this to get out of a bind, I believe in you. You can do this. Give yourself permission, give yourself grace to accept what's happened. Now it's time to focus on fixing it. And there's one more random guy in the internet that's believing in you. All right. So just what is this debt snowball strategy? I mean, the name might sound strange if you haven't heard it before, but think of a snowball, right? Like you roll it down the hill, you pack it nice and tight first, and it's really small at first. But after it goes through a few rotations, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Remember that with debts, interest rates is the cost of renting the money, right? The debt snowball ignores all of that, at least almost completely, all right? The debt snowball focuses on smallest payments first. The debt snowball focuses on eliminating the smallest balance first, regardless of the interest that's attached to it. It attacks the smallest one first, and it puts everything else in minimum payments. Now, most robots and math geeks will be upset by this and will point out very quickly that this is not the right way to do things because targeting smaller debts when there's more expensive debts is gonna be more expensive. Well, we covered the debt avalanche yesterday. That's the main premise of that. See, the biggest advantage of the debt avalanche is, yes, it is technically the most mathematically efficient way to pay off debts. It's the most mathematically sound. If you're asking a robot, they'd probably give that recommendation as a solution, right? But you and I, we're not robots. Not yet, anyway. Money isn't always about math, right? It's not always about zeros and ones and the dollars and cents. It's highly personal, it's highly emotional, and of course, it's highly contextual. The debt snowball is designed for humans who oftentimes have a hard time with discipline and deferred gratification. That's why this works. See, the reason why this works is it puts more wins under your belt sooner. Now, we're in the last quarter now, and the new year's just around the corner, and most people, like most years, will have some sort of fitness resolution, myself included. But by the time March comes around, a lot of people quit working out and quit exercising. Not because it gets harder, right? They quit likely because they didn't get enough wins early enough. They probably had the wrong expectations and they didn't set the right benchmarks. So they quit because they didn't see the results that they were hoping to get. I mean, I've been on the Stairmaster for like 45 minutes now, and I still don't have a six-pack. We all suffer from that. We all suffer from this short-sightedness. Me, primarily, right? Like, I'll speak for myself. But by getting early wins, we are more likely to keep going. Remember, the interest rate doesn't matter if you don't actually see it through and pay it all off. 4% on a $20,000 balance is still higher. It's still more expensive than 19.99 at zero balance. Let's look at an overview for the debt snowball. Let's revisit Mike, our case study. He's our example, all right? We've worked with him in this case, in yesterday's case, and the day before that. We'll use the same figures to keep things consistent. We'll use the same numbers for the debt avalanche yesterday and the consolidation from the day before that. Now, he has 4 credit cards with a total balance of $14,000 and a student loan of $21,000. The credit cards have the following balances and interest rates. The PC MasterCard at $6,500 charges 25.99% a year. TD Visa at $5,000, 11.99% a year. The Costco MasterCard is only $1,000, but it's 19.99%. The Walmart MasterCard is at $1,500 at 29.99%. Ouch. See, he's currently making random payments and he just expects everything to just be paid off in 5 years. To pull off the debt snowball, he will have to create a payment priority that puts the smallest debt first, regardless of the interest rate. So this time, it'll be Costco MasterCard first, then the Walmart, then the Visa from TD, then the PC MasterCard, then finally his student loans. So how does the debt snowball work? Let's do it step by step because there's a few things that we need to do. Step number 1, as always, is review your budget and make sure you understand how much free cash flow you can dedicate to paying off debts. We'll continue with our example. Mike can top up his current payments, which is already at $430 for the current cards and $387 for the student loan. He can allocate an additional $83 for now, making his total debt payments $900 every month. Step 2 would be to determine the minimum monthly payment for each debts. Again, since Mike is simply a made-up case, I'll assume that all debts is being paid at a minimum of 1% of outstanding balance every month. If you were doing this for yourself, please make sure you understand that you would have to call each credit card or each loan facility to make sure you understand what your minimum is. Preferably get it in writing so that you know you're doing that, right? Now, some loans or some debts have a fixed rate where you cannot make any changes. In this case, we'll assume that Mike's student loans can only be brought down to a minimum of $300 every month. The third step is to create a payment priority based on what we discussed earlier, which pays the lowest balance first. Based on our example, Mike would have the following priority. Step 4. Any debt payments that goes beyond the minimum is going to be redirected to the prioritized debt. This means that everything else will get a minimum payment allocated to it, except for number 1, except for our priority, right? You do this again and again and again. As the snowball rolls, you have the same total monthly payment, but now more and more of your payments will be directed to principal reduction until eventually everything's paid off. So in Mike's case, we'll actually look at 5 stages. Stage 1 has 1 priority and then 4 that are being paid minimum. Stage 2 will have 1 priority and 3 that are being paid minimum. You get the point. The more individual debts you personally have when you're looking into this, the more stages, the more checkpoints, and the more benchmarks you'll have to go through to show yourself that you're actually moving forward. All right, let's put this into practice. It's spreadsheet time. Let's go back to Mike. He has a $900 monthly payment allotted to debts. He has to pay the minimum for all the other cards in the student loan. So his minimums add up to $430 every month. That means that he can use $470 to crush the Costco card. For Mike, the Costco card will then be paid off in 3 months. That's 1 month sooner compared to the Avalanche method that we looked at yesterday. Now, at that point, all the payments that used to go to the Costco card will now be directed to the Walmart one. And of course, he still needs to maintain the minimum for the rest. So again, I'm doing this in September of 2021. The Costco card should then be paid around December. What a nice gift, right? And in December, there will be a small balance left in that card. So there will be an additional payment directed towards the Walmart card, whatever the excess is of the $470 minus whatever the outstanding loan is for the Costco card. He'll then add that to the $15 minimum that he's already paying for the Walmart card. So in stage 2, the new payment ends up at $485 towards whatever the new priority is. He will keep doing this until that's paid off, which in this case happens quickly. By March of 2022, both the Costco and the Walmart card are donezo. See how quickly you can get rid of debt if there's focused effort? See how quickly you can bring in results? Now, from April 2022 until January of 2023, it's a little bit longer, the target is now the Visa. So for 10 straight months, he's gonna pay $535 every month. But with the Avalanche, he didn't get to this point until 2023. So there's early successes. That's what I was talking about. Now, after that, the TD card is crushed. He transitions the payments to the last one. He's in stage 4 at this point, where he's freed up $600 for the remaining card, which is the PC MasterCard, and the $300 going to the student loan, which he will then continue until 2024. So the last leg is where he's making the largest contribution to one single loan, which is the student loan, happening from April 2024 until August of 2025. And at that point, he's debt-free. Woohoo! Of course, I have to give you guys the caveats. Let's quickly go through the pros and cons again, right? So here are the pros. As you saw, again, it gives you direction, right? Most people get really confused with debt because they're trying to do everything and they're trying to chase too many rabbits all at once. So their dollars, their attention, it's just getting spread and nothing's being done properly. Using a hit list makes it clear where you need to put your next dollar, where you need to allocate your cash flow to, right? And psychologically speaking, early wins. This gets more people to stick to it. This works even with all the cards that are still charging interest. See, as long as you're paying minimum, you're still winning. And comparing it to the debt avalanche strategy, this is proven to create consistency. Of course, the con is this is still a self-directed strategy more than anything else, right? This still relies on you, your own dedication, your own willpower, your own discipline. Even if it's faster to get to the wins, you're still gonna go through a long period where there may be stretches of months or years where you're only looking at one debt and you feel like you're not moving forward. But think about your balance going down. The more you pay into your debt, that's you directly getting richer. Your net worth is moving in the right direction. So I know it could be frustrating, but you need to stick to it. Remember, season by season, this is your race. You got to run it at your own pace. The con, of course, is you'll pay more interest, right? Like the robots are right. That's because in some cases, even while you're paying the minimum, the interest that's being charged to you is likely outpacing your payments. This means the principal balance is actually accruing, it's getting larger, but as long as you stick to it and you get to that point, you saw that it still pays off all the debts, right? Stay consistent. So at this point, we've talked about all 3 strategies. To get access to that spreadsheet, send me an email at info@hervinpesa.com and I'll send that over to you. You should be able to play with this. I've capped it at 5 different debts because honestly, that's all the time that I had. I'll probably improve upon this later. I'll even create different categories of debts because not everything compounds the same way. So tomorrow we'll compare the consolidation, the debt avalanche, and the debt snowball, and you'll be surprised because you can actually combine them. So until then, stay aware, take control. Love y'all. Bye-bye. Oh, he's still here. You can click away now. Or you can leave me a like. That works too.